everyone. Today we will start our lesson with the 8th chapter of our Honeycomb book, class 7. Chapter 8, Fire, Friend and Foe. So in this chapter, we are exposed to the advantages and disadvantages of fire and how fire is invented. The lessons talks about the 3 keys requirements to produce a fire and how we can prevent it. It tells us many things related to fire and how it is a good servant yet bad master. So I hope we all know the meaning of fire. Fire to may altina animaya, as you can see from the picture. Friend to chian soina animaya. Fire to kan chian, and foe to enemy. Mel ma tinani to. Chu wang chuan he chapter right hianin fire hi kan chian ani theina dan le kan mel ma ani theina dan te kan zir ho don ani. All right, before we get into the lesson, first let's learn new words and phrases. I have picked out some words and phrases here. Let's start from number 1. Smoldering. Burning slowly without flames. Smoldering kan ti chuanin me ling me vap te po kan ti ang chu burning slowly without flames, without smoke kan ti theng chu thil kan hala. As you can see from the picture, this is a picture of smoldering. Hey here me vam ani khatyang kha smoldering ani. Next one, fuel. Fuel, materials such as coal, gas, wood or oil to produce heat or power. Eng po me kan chem do na kan man chin coal lungal thei te, gas te, wood thing kan tua chin te, chuan oil te po nyang chu oil chi sang sang oma chuanin kha ang ho kha fuel kan ti chu ani mai ani. So there are many types of fuels. Fuels are of 3 main types. They are solid, liquid and gaseous fuels. Under solid fuels, the common materials we use to make fire are wood, coal, charcoal, etc. And under liquid fuels, the common materials are kerosene, petrol, diesel, etc. Convert to ite diesel kan ti te petrol kan ti khang kha al thei ve kani kha ang ho kha ani boka chuanin gaseous fuel sa om le a chung hawa chuanin CNG LPG kan ti hei ina e rong bol na kan han chin he tia ang ho te biogas kan ti te hydrogen kan ti te heng ho te hi it all comes under fuels. That one is extinguisher. Fire extinguisher in Chatongayam, a manually operated device for controlling small fire. Ege mo me al nasalaute hanti top nana kan manchin hi extinguisher ani. Next, dangerous to lawom soina animeya a lawom da na kha eng ange able or likely to cause harm or injury. Ke mani tan lawom in liam theina thine yal po thlen theina theng the ang chi khatya ang lawom soina kha animeya dangerous to. Next one, burst into flames. Suddenly begins to burn fiercely. Til kan lo halta. For example, let's take a piece of paper. Kan hal paper chu al du mani tro. Kan hal kha al hal pup kha burst into flames. So chu hei hi phrase chu ni ta ni. Oh, hang hi words ni a. Phrase to burst into flames kan ti chuanin suddenly begins to burn fiercely. So ina ka ani lightning. Next one is lightning. Natural electric discharge. lightning to call pe kan hu vek to in karing kha call pe kan ti track or kha electric ani mo kan lo. For your information and for your knowledge, it is a natural electric discharge. Next one is under control. Under control, so in control. Kan control thei thil soi na ani mai. Put out. Stop burning. Put out the fire quickly. Kati chuan mei kati lum wat ro kati na. Ala kha stop wat tur ti soi na ni mai. Put out. So next one, generate. Generate means produce or create. Siam chwak. The last one, flash point. Flash point is the point at which something is ready to burn. Suppose I am going to burn something. I use fuel. I use wood, let me say, for the fuel, and I also use a matchstick. Til ka hal do na thing ka la a chuan I can also use kerosene. Convert to kalau mang don ta khang zong ka ready ta a chuanin I lighted the matchstick kati al ta a chuan khata I'm ready light a flash point so ani. So those are the words and phrases you have to remember, you have to memorize before you go into this chapter. All right. It is difficult to imagine our lives without fire. Fire tel lo hian fire hi lo mu chuak lo se inting kan omang ti hi thui tak ngai tu atur omani true. We can say that it is the most important discoveries in human history. Mishing ten an lo mu chua chuan thil poi mo ber pakhat kan ti thei o me achan chu fire tel lo hianin kan thei don lo ani mo mishing chu amaro chu as such kan friend ani kan ti ro heading up of fire friend and foe kan dia as such it needs to be checked. Amaro chu kan en chata ngai ani because it can create havoc if it goes out of control. Kan chik chat lo chuan lo om na satak chan na satak khen thei ka alo ni don ani. If a fire breaks out, it can be controlled by water, sand, etc. So there are various devices and materials that can put out fire. Amongst them, the common ones are water, sand, etc. Various firefighting instruments also helps in putting out those fire. If a fire goes out of control, it can burn vast areas of forests, lives and property. Fire chu atangkaya rongbol nan te po kan manga thil tam tak ti nan kan mang. Maro chu if it goes out of control, thil la om lutuk chiat na thlen the ani ta ni ram kang te po in mut to the chel mi ani wat lo chuanin I na satakin I akang theya chuanin nun na hial ramsa nung chatin mishing te po nun na hial an chan theya tin chu ba ka in le lo kha ang te po kha chan theina ani. Fire is a necessary evil ti in karonda evil evil chu chelampang soina ni tru ma se it is a necessity kan momo tat si chu wang chanin fire is a necessary evil kan it is a boon as well as a curse. It has made our life comfortable but we cannot touch it. It was the first great invention made by early men ma la Kovele lo masate early man te kam te kan an invent ani early man didn't know how to make fire atira chuanin fire siam dan hi an shilawani me al ti chwa dan kha but he must have seen the destructive power of fire. He must have watched lightning and volcanoes. early man te khanin lightning ka. Look at the picture, you can see there's a picture of volcanoes, lightning, and these are early man. Khang te kha lo mo to me the ni so wang chuan he was afraid of it an hlaw ani atira chan mo so fire kan ti kan ta then what exactly is fire kan soi to ang fire is in fact the result of chemical reaction chemical low in to kho ma changa ron swak kha fire chu ani a chuanin the air boruak the air has oxygen hey oxygen angaya O2 angaya chuanin fuels kan soi to khan ni chana wood te chi sang sang om kan ti kha solid stage 10 state 10 liquid state 10 gaseous state te pon a om thei kan ti kha kha angaya air chu oxygen ania chuanin fuel chu angaya chuanin and hydrogen angaya ni fire siam chhuak tur chuan fire hi chemical reaction kan ti to kha so when the two combine energy is released in the form of heat and light heat kan ti chuanin sa lum soina te po ani theya mấy kan chem chuan alo lum chin ni tru winter lai pon classic lai pon mấy kan chema kan aya ming ti lum chin ni chuan besides heat it also produce light eng po kha produce bokani so that is what we call fire fire so it is a chemical reaction I hope you all understand that part. While talking about fire, one must know the three things that are needed to make fire. So, if you look at the screen, three things that are needed to make fire are number one, fuel, number two, oxygen, and number three, heat. I put it in 3 points. This is the simplest form I can put here. Fuel, I've already mentioned the meanings. There are 3 types of fuel, solid, liquid, and gaseous. And oxygen, that is present in the air. And heat. If you look at this picture, heat su sa kan ti kha mo heat kha up ni up chua kan ni mo kan kha fire heat ka om lo chan alo lum thei don lo fire kha mo so these are the 3 things that are needed to make fire. Try to memorize all of it. When it comes to oxygen kan ti hianin boruak tha tina ani meya kan shifo anga dam lo te po an tho te alo ha dewa oxygen pe ka ngai kan ti chin ka mo oxygen comes from the air. Oxygen is needed in order to make fire. That is why when we blow on burning paper it bursts into flame. Hey, if you look at this picture, it is a burning paper. Till me te po kan chem ani tru kan chem al chadu lo e me kan ta entrinan kan han chem ta kan blow ta aron al ta ne it burst into flame kha boruak wang ani. Fuel and oxygen do not make fire themselves they need heat kha satna lum na kha an ma mo ani. A lighted match provides that heat. Every fuel begins to burn at a particular temperature at which it begins to burn. Till kan haldon ha mo en po lo ni se kan hal tur ka hun temperature ka an nei ani ron al chan hun ka so that temperature is called the flash point or kindling temperature. Till ron al hun a temperature dik taka aw ma aron al chwa cha kha a flash point chu ani. Before we go further into the chapter, let us check your comprehension. Question number 1, mark the correct answer in each of the following. Sub number 1, Ali man was frightened of. I've given 3 options here. Option A, lightning and volcanoes. Option B, the damage caused by them. Option C, fire. What will be the answer? The answer is fire. Sub number 2, fire is energy. Fire is heat and light. Fire is the result of chemical reaction. The answer is fire is the result of chemical reaction. Chemical reaction avanga fire ka lo ane. We have just talked about it. What do you understand by the flash point of fuel? Inge ka flash points kanti ka. The temperature at which a fuel begins to burn is called its flash points. Kaka kang hoka iglaw chen chang. Fire, friend, and foe. Ti kan soy fire to kan friend ani theya kan enemy ni thei kan te kan soy to. Fire is a good servant but a very cruel master. Po kan ti theyang. It is useful as long as it is under control. Kan control na nuaya aom chung chuanin atha ani fire kamo kan mamo ani telawin kan theilaw. We use some form of fire to cook food. Hey, rongbol na kan mga to warm our house kan inti lumnan ten kan mga. And to produce electricity. Electricity siam chuanan kan mang buka kan in dien lau chuan kan in electrical lo ringot pon relo te ringot lo ringot pon shom kan ti chin kamo chu wang chuanin apoi enge kan control na hnuai chung chuanin fire hi unuseful ani. But uncontrolled fire burns homes, forests, and also kill people. Mase kan control lo chuanin chat na satak akleng the ni kan in le lo zong akang fai theya forest zau tak akang fai the akang vek the boka chuanin mishing te ram sa te ran sa ti sang nong cha te poka ati hlum cheu the ni. As we have mentioned earlier, fire is a dangerous thing if it is not controlled. More control lo chuanin dangerous thil lom lu tu khani kan ti to kha. So we have to know what steps should be taken in order to put out fire. Fire ta chu engtin nge kan ti hlumang kang me lo chuak ta se engtiang nge kan handlang ti kha soi kan tum le do ni. Fire can be put out in 3 ways. We can take away the fuel. Turakha kan la son theya akang turakha mo. Or stop oxygen from reaching the burning material. Oxygen air ka lo chuan thil hi thelo ni. Suppose hey candle hi mombati hi teng ta nowina mo khup de ula borak lawin athi de me yang mo chu wang chuan air lo chuan thelo ani me kha. So next, the third way is to bring down the temperature below the flash point. Flash point kan soi to temperature dik tak aron al hun dik tak ain ready hun khami lo na nge chel mi deuh kha ni me entiunan me kan to aron al tak don ta sumi ma lak sonemo da son kha ani. Next one, remove the hot air around the burning candle and it will go out. So anin borak lum teka tivo. Water also lowers the temperature and puts out the fire. Heat kantia fire chuan heat a pe chwaka heat chu sa lum na kanti. Water chu avot tui kan chatero tui te kan the khanin khan atimit thei bokani. So those steps should be taken in order to put out fire. One important point you have to remember is that some fires cannot be put out with water. And you know, helai ayan may zalbung te mo paper al te mo omse tui kan le chuan athingal me don ani. Amaro chu tui na enge ni ati lum thei lo hi a om ve bok ani. Chu enge kan ti chuan oil ani. Oil fire is one such example. I oil al to chu enge ni tuya ti lum ve chi an he lo. Achan chu the oil floods to the top of water and continue to burn as well as spread. Achan chu engwange kan ti chuan oil te hi water ain azang mo azan zo ka wangin achunga om zela oil kha alwandar chuan ti khanin fire kha ti to panhe khanin a spread adar zel zo kani hey picture hi han en ula hey the yellow part is oil and the white part is water ti hianin ina po lo ti chin ula na wa tuida ula oil handa ula oil kha azan zo ka wangin achunga om zelang tang chia hianin oil al reng chu water a the ti mi tum chi an hilawani. Electrical fire also can't be controlled with water. Electric shorts the point in shatrina nga in tun laya kang me tam tak chwa na I chan po hi electric shorts an ti trina ni hang ho hi tuya ti chi an hilo. It is fought by using carbon dioxide. Carbon oxygen kha chu me al na ania turo oxygen om kha chanin I me kha al chadu ani. Carbon dioxide chuanin ati hlum ve thung ani cho. So try to remember those points. Those are the important things you have to remember in this lesson. Now let's try to summarize what we have talked about. On the whole, we have learned well to control fire and make good use of it in everyday life. Kan soi to fire chu control la chuan thil thatak control lawa chuan thil la takani te kha kan lo soi to chuan long ago there were no firemen man lai chuan firemen hi an la ve lawani hi in information atan kan soi ve shimanga. The people used to bring and throw bucketfuls of water on the flames ka. Picture mi ang deuh hianin anin laina mishin ka chuanin bucketin anin pasa khatiang khanin fire te kha an lo titop me al kha anya ne an titop thin ani an thel thin ani mo me alan thel thin ani. Now there are laws to stall fire extinguisher in every big building. To na chuanin hey building poimwa te sarkar building poimwa te chuanin fire extinguisher te kolvek turani ti dan te oma. Chuanin there are fire brigades in every town. Khotina city te town tina fire department kan ti ang chi te po anlo omzel to ani. Trained firefighters use their skills like cutting off power supply, pulling down weak walls and spraying water to bring fire under control. Chung firemen te chuanin engkim kha an training veka kang me alo chua chia na thlen thei dan le ati top dan engkim kha an train vekani uluk takim. Chuanin they are also trained to provide first aid to injured people. In liam pu an lo om theya tin nun na chan hel pu an lo om theya chung ho en kol dan tur thleng chuanin an train vek bokani. Fire chu ahlom zongin lo soi tai la. It is a necessary evil kati ang deuh khanin mamo si lo om si alo om thei si lo necessity ni bok si ania ram chen khata chuan fire is still worshipped pathian anga bia an omani. It helped early men to keep off animals and settle down in safe places. Early men ho po khanin ram sa lo om no kian nante khatiang khan an lo mang fo to chin ani chang kai na ania chang kai lo na po ane cheu ani khang kha kan chin chha to ani. So let's get into the end of the chapter. Before we end the class, let's look at the key points. Number 1, 3 things are needed to make fire: fuel, oxygen, and heat. Try to remember this. Next, fire is the result of chemical reaction. Fire hi ama inalo top thai lao. It is a result of chemical reaction kanti kha. Fuel angaya, oxygen angaya, heat angay kanti kha. The most common fuels are wood, coal, cooking gas, and petrol. Tuna I kan mu thai mai a chuanin wood te, coal te, cooking gas le petrol khang ka fuels kan han soi thil al thei mo khang kha ni ta a. The particular temperature at which the fuel begins to burn is called a flash point. I've mentioned it many times. Next, fire is a good servant but a very cruel master. Thil tam tak min ti sak the. Chu ti roalin nun rong tak kha. Nun na hial la the kha ani ve the la ti. We use fire to cook food, keep ourselves warm, produce electricity, etc. So fire chuanin enge good servants ani the dan chu we use to cook food. We also use to keep ourselves warm, and it can also produce electricity. Next, uncontrolled fire burns homes and forests and also kill people. If we do not control those fires, it becomes an evil. It can burn our homes, vast areas of forest, and also even kill the lives of many. If we take the fuel, no burning can take place. Engtin nge kang me kanti mi dan tur pakhata chon akang tur lak son. The second way of putting out a fire is to stop the supply of oxygen. Oxygen telawin mi kan chem thei lo kha kha. The third way is to remove the heat or bring down the temperature. Temperature ka salutuk tur ka kantinyamang. Water spray cannot put out the oil fire. Oil al tui al thei hi water ati mi chi ani lauti ka chat bok tur ni a. Next point, water should not be used to fight electric fire, but it may cause electric shock. Electric short savanga kang may at in tui man lau tur ani. Next point, firemen are highly trained persons. Firemen kang chel tu kan ti te hi train ve kan ni ka shat bok tur nya. And the last one is fire is still worshipped in many parts of the world. Fire chuan thil ati chiat thei nasat wangin ramcham taka chuan pathian anga bia an la omani. So those are the key points we have to put in our mind. I'll give you some assignments. Look at the following 3 units. First, reorder the items in each unit to make a meaningful sentence. Next, reorder the sentence to make a meaningful paragraph. Use correct punctuation marks in the paragraph. Read the questions carefully because it contains 3 units. First, you have to reorder the items in each unit to make a meaningful sentence. Sentence omzene isyam potanga chuanin next sa chuanin reorder the sentences to make a meaningful paragraph. Jumbled, unjumbled ngai ni chuanin last one, you have to use correct punctuation marks in the paragraph. Let me read out. Sub number 1. And 18 fire tenders struggled. The fire began on Monday to douse the blaze till morning. Number 2, in a major fire, over 25 shops were gutted. 3, but property was destroyed worth several lakhs. No casualties were reported. So you have to reorder the items in each unit and make a meaningful sentences. The fire began on Monday and 18 fire tenders struggled to douse the blaze this morning. I put the answer here. If you have doubts, any problems, you can copy down the answer. So, as I have said earlier, in this chapter, we are exposed to the advantages and disadvantages of fire as an invention. Fire, anlo invent dante. Disadvantage, athat na lam le advantage, athat na lam apoy mo na lam te kansoya. Chanin. The lessons also talk about 3 ways to make fire and 3 ways to put out fire. Try to remember what I have said. And last not the least, it tells us many things related to fire. Fire chansin kan shatur tam tak min shilani to rotun chapter khan, and how it is a good servant yet a bad master. I hope you all enjoy the chapter Fire, Friend and Foe. Thank you.